So here's the thing. Modern life seemingly gives us everything we could ever want, except perhaps a moment to breathe. Take a seat. This is the Life Bench. Thank you very much for joining me again this week. I'm recording this episode, which you'll hear just before my birthday on the 21st. I've got a few days off and some nice things planned. I think it's my last bit of time off before Christmas, so I'm definitely going to make the most of it. Also this week I've taken a few more steps forward with my ideas, and some more emails have been sent out to potential investors. It's funny, I used to be so scared of putting myself out there and sending my ideas to people, but now I just do it. I send the email and see what happens. The worst that can happen is you get a no, and I haven't lost anything by doing that. You only need to find that one person who gets your idea and believes in it, and before you know it, it can be out there and you've started something. I'm not saying it's easy. I've had plenty of no's or no responses at all, but that's part of the process, and it won't stop me from trying. I'm determined to find that one connection that I need to get these ideas made. So last week's episode was all about loneliness and isolation, and how we can feel completely alone even when we're surrounded by people. I said at the time it's an episode I've been wanting to do for a while, and how it's one of the main reasons I first started some of the things that I'm doing now. It was quite a personal episode for me, and I think it's something a lot of us will have experienced at different points in our lives. I spoke about some of the reasons why in our so-called connected world the problem of loneliness and isolation is so big, and it led me to think about the other challenges and struggles that we face these days. A lot of it is a result of the world that we live in, and so this week's episode is going to explore the challenges of modern life, how technology, society, and the way we live today can shape our thoughts, our mental health, and ultimately our overall happiness. As someone born in 1987, I've experienced a few very different versions of life. I grew up in a time before technology became such a big thing, before smartphones, before social media, before we were always reachable, and before mental health was something people talked so openly about. I feel like I've seen a few sides of it, what life felt like when things moved slower and you weren't always digitally connected, to how it feels now, when everything's always grabbing our attention and we can't seem to get any respite from it. And I think those different experiences allow me to have a certain perspective on the challenges of modern life and why it can be hard these days. Growing up through the 90s and noughties felt like living in a completely different world to now. I understand that each generation has faced different challenges, and I know that things change and move on. But where some things can be said to have made our lives better, some things have created new problems. And I think we've lost some special things along the way. My experience of life growing up, it seemed there was a simplicity to life. At the time you didn't even notice it because it was just normal. I remember going out with friends and not even having a phone on me. Someone could only contact me by even knocking at my house or using the landline. Plans were made beforehand in person, and you just met up. Once you were out, you were out. You weren't checking messages or scrolling. You were just living the moment exactly as it was. Happy, sad, laughing, or bored. It didn't matter because it was real. There was something grounding about those times. You didn't feel the constant pull to post online or prove or be seen. You were more present because it was the only option. As I say, yes, we got bored sometimes, but that totally wasn't a bad thing. I think there'll be a future episode on exploring boredom at some point. Because when we're bored, we often found things to come up with and do. bike rides, playing football or tennis, exploring the woods, fishing, listening to music, or we just sat and chatted. No distractions like now. And when the first phones did come in, and we had them, they obviously couldn't do what they do now, so they didn't monopolise our time or our attention. They were just used for calls, texts, and the odd game. And I think that's one of the biggest differences today. We, of course, have less in-person connections, but we also don't get those quiet moments anymore. Almost every moment in our day is filled with something. An email, a scroll, videos, messages, dare I say it, podcasts. It's not easy for our brains to switch off, and it's led to us feeling uncomfortable when we just have that slightest moment of stillness or silence. If we're not doing something, it feels like we're missing out. As a kid and growing up, I didn't realise how peaceful life was because I didn't know any different. It's only looking back now that I see how much slower and simpler it felt. There wasn't the constant pressure like there is now. Mental health wasn't something people really discussed. I'm sure it was there, but it didn't feel like there was as much pressure from being constantly plugged in or switched on. Don't get me wrong, technology has done some wonderful things and has made life easier in ways. But at what cost? Everything around us is now designed to grab our attention. Something new demanding a reaction, and it's leading to an inability to focus. People can't do things without being on their phone, whether that's working or watching TV. People don't read books anymore. The content being consumed is short and, well, rubbish. I've read that films and football matches are suffering because the attention spans are so much less now, particularly in younger people. And it's crazy. When I look back now, the best moments that I can remember are the ones where I was fully present. The memories are experiences I shared with other people, and I took it all in, regardless of the situation. And I think that's something that's become harder to do now. It takes discipline and effort to be present in the moment and really experience things. So that's a fairly big part of the challenges of modern life and my experience of growing up through different stages of things. Technology has shaped how we live and connect with others, and from that is the world that we've built around them. The fast pace, the constant pressure, and the expectations that come with that. We live in a time where there's much more opportunity than ever, which is great. But alongside that, there is also much more noise than ever. Every day we're bombarded with updates, opinions, news, messages, content, all competing for our attention. And we may not feel it straight away, but it'll be having an effect on us. Our brains are not meant to process so much, so fast. And then there's the pressure to always be doing more, whether that's being productive, to have a side hustle, to improve ourselves, to learn something new. Basically, to stay ahead. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, if that's what you want to do. But there shouldn't be the pressure if you don't. It's frowned upon to slow down or take it a bit easier. But no one should feel guilty for that. People can do what they want without needing to be judged one way or the other. Another big challenge I see is comparison, and this goes for all of us. We compare looks, job status, home status, salary, car models. We compare where we are to where we think we should be, or where other people seem to be. Social media has played a big part in this, but it's also built into how society measures success now. I saw a tweet that said, people ask you what you do for a living, so they can decide what level of respect to give you. I'm not sure what I think of that, but it's certainly an interesting take. So much is about numbers now. How much you earn, how many followers you have, how many steps you've done. It can be exhausting, and it will never be enough. There's always going to be someone doing more, doing better, or moving faster. And the constant comparison will just chip away at your confidence and your contentment. Then there's the pace of life now. It's always full on. Modern life doesn't give us many opportunities to pause. With everything being on demand, instant and right there, it sounds great, but it means we rarely just sit without anything. We don't give ourselves the time to reflect or appreciate the little things. Unless, of course, you've been listening to my podcast and taken my advice on board. And I think the worst part is that we've normalised it. Feeling burnt out, disconnected or anxious has almost become part of modern living. Being busy is like a badge of honour. But deep down, most of us are just trying to keep up. And that's wrong. Time passes so quickly. We don't need to be wasting it on things like this. I think we all need to slow down, be more present, follow our hearts and do what we love. Regain that connection again. There are lots of people and organisations out there trying to help with some of these things. But the first step comes from you. Your choices and your daily habits will shape the type of life that you want to live. And more importantly, how you feel living it. Because the truth is, unless something drastic changes, the world isn't slowing down anytime soon. Technology will keep evolving, life will keep moving fast, and the pressures probably won't disappear. So it'll be down to us as individuals and the people and organisations that are creating things to help, to make the difference and have a positive impact on our lives. I've said many times about some of the things I'm trying to do to recognise and be more present day to day. And a lot of the times, they're simple things. I know from starting this podcast and working on my other ideas, how much more pressure I'm under to have a presence and create content, just so that I can try and grow each of these ideas. It takes a lot of discipline to not get sucked in by it all and lose touch with reality. And I'm not just taking steps to cut stuff out. I'm also trying to add stuff in too. Real conversations in person. Being present to experience moments. Times of quiet with just my thoughts to have a bit of peace from the world. Doing things for a reason, not just because of pressure from the modern world. We've been conditioned to always look for an outcome, but sometimes the value and the best experience is just in the doing. I mentioned connection there, and I think this plays a huge part these days. One of the best things we can do for ourselves is connecting with other people. The benefits are huge for our health and well-being and our overall happiness. And it's something we don't do enough of now. It's something I'm hoping to change. It's a big dream, but I won't let that stop me. It's important to remember that it's okay to not have it all figured out. Modern life makes it feel like everyone does, but they don't. Most people are winging it, working it out as they go along, trying to find the balance that works for them. The key is to just do your best, because that's enough. And when you strip it all back, and at the end of the day, it's the simple things that matter the most. Family, friends, experiences, memories, laughter. And those things don't come from the outside world. They come from you and your choices. The ones you make every day on how you want to live your life. So yeah, that's been the challenges of modern life. As I said at the beginning, I understand that every generation has faced different challenges. But I just wanted to do this episode to share what we're facing now, despite how far we've come with things. It's something that affects every one of us in different ways. For some, it's the fast pace. For others, it's the noise, the pressure, or just that feeling that there's so much going on around you and you're struggling to keep up. This is not about blaming technology or society. It's just about raising awareness and talking about it. Because it's important. It's so easy to get caught up in it all now. And before you know it, you've lost all sense of who you are, how you're living your life, and where you're going. We need to remember that we have a choice in how we live our lives. Modern life asks a lot from us at times. And I think the real challenge is recognizing it and learning how to go against things and be true to yourself. In a world always moving so fast, we need to learn how to slow down sometimes, to be more present, more intentional, more connected, not just online, but in real life. I've certainly been at both ends of this scale, going all in and trying to do everything without any rest, and then completely the other way, where I was so low and burnt out that I didn't want to do anything. And that was a dark place. It took me a long time to get out of it, but even longer to realise how bad I was. I'm a lot more aware now, and I understand the need for balance and sticking to what I want. When you make the choice of what deserves your attention and let go of the things that don't, life does feel just that little bit lighter. And that's what I want you to take away from this week's episode, really. You don't have to keep up with the world, just yourself. Find yourself and build your life around what matters most to you. Thank you again for listening this week. Your support means so much. Every message, every share, or every bit of feedback that you give me helps more than you realise. And it's a boost when I need it to keep going with it all. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode and that it might help if you've been feeling some of the things that I've touched on. Sometimes just hearing that someone else feels the same as you can make all the difference. And I guess that's my thinking behind all the episodes, really. Just before I finish with the quote to end this week's episode, I just wanted to say that I'll be taking part in Grow a Mo for Movember this year. It's my first time doing it, and I think it's such a great campaign that raises awareness for many different men's health issues, like prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health, and suicide prevention. I'll be promoting it on my Instagram page and throughout November, and there'll also be a link on my page. But I'll also put one in the description of this episode. I understand the cost of living crisis shows no signs of improving, but anything you can donate will be really appreciated, and I'll be very grateful. It wasn't easy to find a quote that really suited this episode, but I've gone with one by the Chinese philosopher Confucius, and it highlights the paradox of modern life, whereby we've eliminated so many simple hardships, yet created so many complex ones. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated.